Hi, this is Wayne Chapin from Xerillion, and this is our latest video, Microsoft 365 Enterprise 2018. This is an update to a video I did about a year and a half ago about Office 365. So for those people considering Office 365, we would recommend they look at Microsoft 365 Enterprise because it's a complete solution. So just a quick warning. Microsoft 365 Enterprise is not a topic you can fully explain in a 5-minute video. I like to go to YouTube and find quick hit videos to give me everything I need in a short amount of time. I wish I could do this with Microsoft 365 Enterprise, but I can't. But I'm going to try to squish it down as much as I can into the important parts for the kind of conversations that I have with customers that usually go from 60 minutes to 2 hours when we're talking about a Microsoft 365 solution. So my goal here is to get somewhere between 30-40 minutes and cover everything to help you determine if Microsoft 365 Enterprise is a possible solution for your company. Microsoft 365 Enterprise is a complete solution for businesses interested in Office 365. So if I go back to many years ago when we were building out our Microsoft Cloud practice, we would usually just install Office 365 Business Premium, for example. So that would give people email and that would give them Office desktop apps. But there's so much more to it. And over time, our Microsoft Cloud practice has evolved. So now we implement Microsoft 365 Enterprise. And I'm going to go over why it is a complete solution for your business. And you should consider it as opposed to just installing Office 365. And I like to tell people the Microsoft 365 Enterprise is a Fortune 500 IT system available to any size business at a low cost. So if a Fortune 500 business goes to Microsoft and says, give me your best cloud enterprise system, they would bring up Microsoft 365 Enterprise. And a business with 50 employees can say the same thing to Microsoft, working through a partner like us, and say, give me the best IT system that Microsoft makes. And that would be Microsoft 365 Enterprise, available to businesses of 50 users up to 50,000. Which is incredible about that kind of scalability, again, at a low cost point. So what I'm going to be going over is I'm going to be talking about the business case of Microsoft 365 Enterprise, the productivity case, the HR case, Microsoft 365 E3 and E5 broken down with pricing, migrating emails, files, and phones into the Microsoft 365 system, removing your local Windows domain controller, training and change management, and systems and security management. So there's me, a little bit about my background. I had this in other videos, but the main thing to know where Microsoft 365 Enterprise is concerned is that we went from getting people moved over into Exchange Online email, and so they don't have to have an on-premise Exchange server anymore, to moving them into Office 365 subscription, so they had desktop apps, to moving their file shares into SharePoint document libraries and OneDrive, to integrating the Microsoft phone system, and then completing the whole cloud services system using Microsoft 365 Enterprise, which has to do with Azure Active Directory Premium, Microsoft Intune, Azure Information Protection, Cloud App Security. So now we've got to the point where we've moved about 2,000 end users, 25 companies over, and we have the system pretty much punched out. We know what we're looking to do. We know we're looking how to implement this. So let's go ahead and talk about it in depth a little bit more. I'm going to talk now about the business case of the Microsoft 365 Enterprise system. You'll always be licensed to the latest version of Microsoft Office Pro Plus. You'll always be licensed for the latest version of Windows OS Enterprise. And I like to tell people you only replace your computer when it becomes too slow, not when the operating system is going end of life. And you'll always have the most stable, more secure version of the Windows operating system, which is Windows Enterprise. You have no server hardware to purchase, maintain, or refresh. You have no server software to purchase, maintain, or upgrade. You have no VPNs to deal with, or hosting servers on site. You have no more server upgrade migrations or projects. You are done forever with that. You have predictable cost without big capital outlays, and you buy IT infrastructure on a per-user basis, month to month, as you need to expand or contract with the needs of your company. So it's important to note that while it's fun to talk about your growing business and adding subscriptions on a per person basis, sometimes businesses can have challenging periods of time. Sometimes they need to go from 100 users down to 80. And then In an on-premises system, you're stuck with the infrastructure you have. In a Microsoft 365 Enterprise subscription-based system, if you need 80 subscriptions instead of 100, you just remove the 20 subscriptions you don't need. So next up is the disaster recovery case for the Microsoft 365 Enterprise system. So business continuity is inherently built in the event of a fire, flood, natural disaster to your office. And a bonus is you'll have total business continuity if you switch to using laptops over desktops and move to the Microsoft phone system. All of your email, your files, your communication, your phone system are all cloud services and not dependent on making a connection into servers at your office. You have no backup and disaster recovery system to purchase, maintain, or refresh. And you have no servers to spin up or fail back to in the event of a disaster recovery. Just because you have a full backup and disaster recovery system to protect your on-premises system, if you have a disaster you actually have to fail over, you actually have to go to the cloud, fail over your system, people work from there, and eventually you have to fail back to an on-premises system. You have none of this with the Microsoft 365 Enterprise Cloud Services system. How about the productivity case for a Microsoft 365 Enterprise system? Well, computers running always up-to-date builds of Windows and Office with a trained team means fewer problems, getting more done at higher quality, less stress, more innovation, and better job satisfaction. You can also work from home as productively as you work from the office, which leads us to our HR case. Providing work from home flexibility is a competitive advantage to retaining great people. When you have a cloud-based system, you can hire the best people in the world wherever you can find them because physical location doesn't matter. And you'd be proving to potential new hires and existing team members your commitment to innovation and modernization. Imagine what a new team member thinks when they come in and see an organization that has a bunch of old computers running old operating systems and doing things the same way they've been doing them for 20 years. Probably not too exciting. Imagine a scenario where somebody comes in and you have everything completely up to date. The latest version of Windows, the latest version of Microsoft Office, using the latest tools like Microsoft Teams and the Microsoft phone system. And you're doing video meetings. And your company gives employees the flexibility to be able to work from home. As long as they're getting the work done and they're being responsive, where do you care where they're working? Next, I want to take the Microsoft 365 Enterprise bundle and break it down a la carte. So over here is Microsoft 365 Enterprise E3, and over here on this side is Microsoft 365 Enterprise E5. As you can see, E3 is $34 per user per month, and E5 is $61 per user per month. And I want to show you some numbers here so you can understand the differences between the two. So let's start over on the E3 side. So again, this is Microsoft 365 Enterprise E3, $34 per user per month. This consists of three pieces: Office 365 Enterprise E3, Windows Enterprise E3, and the Enterprise Mobility and Security Suite E3. So Office 365 E3 gives us our cloud services. We have Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, Skype for Business Online. It gives us our Office Pro Plus desktop apps, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. And it's the basis for our organization's cloud IT infrastructure. In Microsoft 365, we also add in Windows Enterprise E3. So this means we have the enterprise version of Windows in a subscription, which is the most secure, most stable version of Windows that Microsoft makes. And as long as we keep the subscription active, our computers are always licensed and up to date with the latest version of Windows. Then we have Enterprise Mobility and Security Bundle, which completes the security and management aspect of a Microsoft 365 system. We get Microsoft Intune, which gives us device and inventory management. We get device configuration management and imageless computer setups. We have device OS and antivirus update management, device compliance access management, and then we can control personal smartphone access to company data. It's an important point. A lot of companies allow their employees to connect in and synchronize email and files onto their personal smartphones, but have no control over that data once it's synchronized onto that smartphone. Employees can do whatever they want with that data. We can set up a very simple control on that data we can set up a very simple control for people to connect into your system that puts no management or apps on their personal phones, but controls that data. So if that employee leaves, the next time they go to sync, it removes all company data from the app on their phone, but does nothing to their phone as far as installing apps or doing anything else to their data. Then you get Azure Active Directory Premium Plan 1. Your users now have self-service password reset, block access to unsecured unknown devices in your company. You'll have personalized Windows settings that roam with your devices, and you'll be able to apply user and device group directory management. You'll also have Azure Information Protection Plan 1, and this is important because Azure Information Protection does a couple key things. First of all, it allows us to put security inside of emails and documents that stay with those emails and documents no matter where they go in the world. Secondly, it allows us to classify documents so users can set their own security on emails and files. So when you use Azure Information Protection, you might have something like a button that says personal. You might also have another classification button that says this document or email can only be viewed by internal employees, or the finance department, or the partners of the company, or HR. But the users can click and set their own permissions and classify their own sensitive documents, and that security then stays with the document no matter where it goes. Now we're going to go into Microsoft 365 Enterprise E5. Now this is $61 per user per month. This is the system that I recommend for most companies, and this is what we use. So you get all of the stuff over here in Microsoft 365 Enterprise E3, but you also get something called email safe links and safe attachments. So what are email safe links and safe attachments? So the primary way somebody's going to get into your system is through sending people in your organization email that looks very legitimate. So it'll say it's from Microsoft and say your account's going to be disabled in 48 hours. You need to verify your account. So they log in, put in their username and password, and then some cyber criminal out in the world has a username and password and can start working their way into your organization to see how they can get money out of you. So what SafeLinks does is every single email in your organization, the original link is pulled out, a safe link is put in, and that safe link has a pointer to the original link. And only when a user clicks on that link does the system kick in. It does a quick calculation. Where does that link say it's going? Where is it actually going? And it does a comparison, decide, does this look suspicious? And it will just block the user from being able to go to that link. Or does the system just outright know that link is malicious and will not even allow that user to go? That's safe links, and you get that in the E5 system. Also, there's safe attachments. So the other way cyber criminals get into your system is by sending an attachment into an email, and that attachment might have a virus that was sent out into the world that morning. So it passed through the spam filter, it passed through the virus filter, and it's going to reach that user's mailbox. But in an E5 system, before it passes in that mailbox, it goes into a little virtual container, and Microsoft 365 replicates a user click and sees if that attachment tries to do some weird things. And if it does and it looks suspicious, even though it doesn't know for sure that it's a virus, it will just block it. And that's safe attachments. You also get dial-in audio conferencing. So for conference calls where people need to be able to dial in with a regular phone, they'll have a dial-in number and a conference ID. So you'll have the Microsoft phone system, which is a full-fledged business phone system. We use it. We love it. I have a whole other video for that. But you'll have that system. You don't have to use it. You don't have to convert over to it. If you want all the security features inside of Microsoft 365, but you don't want to use the phone system, you certainly don't have to. If you do want to use the Microsoft phone system, then all you need to add in is the calling plan on top of that, which is $12 per user per month for a flat rate calling plan. You also get Microsoft and Windows Enterprise E5. And the difference between Windows Enterprise E5 and Windows Enterprise E3 is that you get Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection. And this is where Microsoft 365 Enterprise watches what is a normal pattern of behavior of apps on individual computers in your company. Then if it sees an app starting to do suspicious things like moving from computer to computer, seeking information, looking for accounts and passwords, it'll raise a flag. And then from that point, we can either just log the alert or we can block that computer. So in addition to having Windows Defender, which is a fantastic antivirus, we also will use machine pattern learning about the way apps work on devices across your network. And if something starts to look suspicious out of a normal pattern behavior, we can raise the alert and block that computer. So then we also get, inside of the Microsoft 365 Enterprise E5 package, the Enterprise Mobility and Security E5 bundle. So in addition to all the stuff that we get in Microsoft Enterprise Mobility and Security E3 and E5, we also get Cloud App Security. And this is where the system uses machine learning and pattern behavior learning to determine what normal things like copying, deleting, sharing files in your organization are. A very simple example of Cloud App Security would be that if the system learns that users typically delete 1 megabyte of files per day, and today we have somebody deleting 1 terabyte, well, wouldn't you like to know about that? So at a minimum, we can raise an alert so you have some visibility. Another thing we can do is just block that user when they start to deviate from normal behavior. And that isn't just deletion. This is file copying and file sharing outside of the organization. Or another example that has been caught by Cloud App Security is if you have an employee that has all their company emails being forwarded to a personal account. The system will capture that as well. Most places do not have any visibility on that sort of thing right now. You also get Azure Active Directory Premium Plan 2. The first thing is it scans the internet continually to see if any of your user accounts with passwords are publicly available on the internet. And if so, then we can force a password reset on that account or disable it. The other thing it does is it watches what a normal pattern of behavior is for users logging into your system. So if typically you're logging in from Chicago, but today you're also logging in from Chicago and Shanghai, that might be a problem. So wouldn't we like to have some visibility on that and have a system at least flag it? But probably we want to go ahead and either force a password reset or disable the account altogether until we can look into that a little further. You also get Azure Information Protection Plan 2. So if we take the concept where we can put security inside a document or security inside an email that travels wherever it goes, and only the people we specify can ever see that email or ever see that document, even if it's accidentally forwarded or even if somebody was able to go into a folder and copy that data, only the users specified that internally in that document or email are ever going to be able to see it. Everybody else will just see an encrypted message. With Azure Information Protection Plan 2, we can automate that. So we can set up something like employment agreement or offer letter. It automatically gets wrapped up so that only people from the HR department can see that document. Or company financials, maybe only the finance department can see that. But the system sees that and automatically puts the security around it. We can also automate retention and deletion policies. So any documents or emails, you might have some that require a 5-year retention or a 7-year retention or a 20-year retention policy. And that we can automate that process as well. So overall, if you break it down, I won't go into every single number on the slide, but effectively, if you take all these pieces, and all of these pieces here, whether you're doing E3 or E5, represent a full system. And it's a system that you could never build yourself for any reasonable amount of cost at your company. You would spend millions of dollars and you would need to have very hard to find, high-priced IT professionals working on this system. You don't need any of that in a Microsoft 365 Enterprise system. Microsoft takes care of a large part of that. So when you bundle it like this in Microsoft 365 Enterprise, you effectively get a 9% savings over purchasing these individual pieces yourself. And that's what it basically boils down to. The one thing I like to say about Microsoft 365 Enterprise E5 too, if you want to be able to tell your customers or auditors that you have the most sophisticated, advanced system that Microsoft makes, this would be the Microsoft 365 Enterprise E5 system. And again, it's what Xerilian uses ourselves. Now we'll talk about preparing your computers for Microsoft 365. When we do a project, all computers need to be upgraded to the latest version of Windows 10 Pro. That is Build 1803 as of August 2018. All computers get upgraded to the latest version of Office Pro Plus desktop apps. We will install Skype for Business, OneDrive, and Teams. We will install the Azure Information Protection app, which allows you with an easy button click to apply security to an email or a document. We will enroll the computers under Microsoft Intune for management. And then we will Azure Active Directory domain join the computers if we can. Now, ideally, we would do that unless they need to remain connected to a local domain controller. And sometimes that's the case. Then there's a process of migrating email mailboxes and file folders. So when it comes to migrating mailboxes, these are the things that we move over and people ask if we do. We migrate all mailboxes with emails, calendar, contacts. Shared mailboxes will be migrated. Email addresses like info, sales, and service will be brought over. Public folders, for some places that still use them, those will be brought over. And mailboxes will be synced. So we'll take all the mailboxes, synchronize them over to Exchange Online, and then we'll pick a cutover date, and then we will redirect all new email to come in through Microsoft, and then we will just phase out those old mailboxes. And people will be accessing with the latest version of Outlook, or the latest version of Outlook Mobile, or the Outlook web app. Then file folders, when we move those up to SharePoint document libraries, and we work with those using OneDrive so people can work with this stuff inside of File Explorer. The users normally copy over their own data from their user folders. Department folders, usually the client has us move those over, so we're talking about accounting, sales, projects. A couple things to note with SharePoint, there is a 400 character path limit. So if you have super long file names or you have super deep nested file folders, that can be an issue. Doesn't happen often, but sometimes that's the case. And what we normally do is the process to get department folders moved over is we will set a date and we will tell department managers you have 30 days to get your files moved over. So on the old file server, we will make the old file server read-only, and all new data has to go up into the respective document library. So if there's a finance file server folder, that becomes read-only, and there is a corresponding finance SharePoint document library. All new files go up into the document library, and if the accounting department needs to move over any data, they just copy it from the old file server and move it up into the document library, and it's all synchronized locally on OneDrive so that they can use File Explorer to access the files just like they would with a map drive. And that's it. And it's a great way to actually clean out the system, because every business that has a couple decades of file folders all talks about how messy everything is, and it's a big process to get all that cleaned up, and nobody really is able to get around to it. This is a good time to do this. So after that 30-day period on the old file server, we just shut it down. And if somebody happens to miss a file to get it copied over, it's not a big deal. We just go to the old file server, grab the file they need, put it up in the SharePoint document library, and we're done. An important point, and I just want to reiterate it again, that the files will be accessed through Windows File Explorer, and we will use OneSync to make that connection between the SharePoint document libraries and Windows File Explorer, so it feels very comfortable to the users and they can drag and drop files like they're used to. So now we'll come to migrating the company phone system into the Microsoft phone system. You do not have to do this. Whether you go with Microsoft 365 Enterprise E3 or E5, you don't have to move your phone system over if you're happy with it. Again, I'm a big proponent of it. I have another video on it. I love it for a lot of different reasons, but you don't have to. But if you are moving into the Microsoft phone system, this is the process. First thing is we assume all previous Microsoft 365 updates have been done and Skype for Business is running. Eventually, the Microsoft phone system is going to go to Teams. It's not ready yet. So right now we still put people in Skype for Business. So everything else is done. All the other stuff we talked about, the email migration, the file migration, the computers are all updated, all of that is done. Then we come to the phone system. So the first thing we do is we set up any physical equipment. So any clients that would still like a desk phone on their computer, we get that set up. We get the headset set up. Any conference tables that have conference phones, we get those set up. And then we configure the auto attendant, call trees, call queues. We get the end users trained with the micro training videos, and then we do online live orientation sessions through a Skype for Business online meeting. So we submit a port order to Microsoft's porting team, and they usually schedule us 3 to 4 weeks out, and they only do it during business hours. So then what we do is we schedule it for 12 p.m. in whatever time zone the client is. We move the phone numbers over, new calls come in through the Microsoft phone system, and we're cut over. So then we handle post cutover support, and the project is complete. Then we come to removing the local domain controller. So one of the things comes up that if you move over email, you move over files, and you move over to the Microsoft phone system, and all your communications happening through Skype for Business and Teams, a lot of times you're really just left with a domain controller, and it's really not doing much. So the client will ask us, can we remove it? And we certainly can. And I would prefer to do that. And what we do is we remove Windows Server Active Directory and put in Azure Active Directory in Microsoft Intune. And that's how we manage those individual endpoints. So the process is all the computers need to be running Windows 10 Pro or Enterprise with the latest build. All the computers need to be enrolled under Microsoft Intune. So the computers will be removed from the local Windows domain to a workgroup, and then a new user profile is created. The computer will be Azure Active Directory domain joined, and then we will migrate the user's profile from the old profile to the new profile, which that part can be time consuming, and so far we still haven't found a quick and easy way to do this. And then from that point, the user accounts and the computers are now managed by Azure Active Directory and Microsoft Intune, and you no longer need a domain controller. So I'll talk about a common scenario. For newer businesses, there's no question. They go right into the Microsoft 365 Enterprise system, their emails, files, phone systems, it's all there. Any business applications they have are web apps. They usually are not Windows applications. So there was never a need for a domain controller to begin with. But other companies that have been around a while, they generally will have a domain controller. So we prefer to remove that domain controller because it's the last legacy IT system that is there. So one bonus is if you enable OneDrive personalization sync settings and Azure Active Directory Enterprise State Roaming, this allows users personalized desktop settings to move with them from device to device, which is really handy in a cloud-based system. So we're getting to the end here, and we're going to talk about training and change management. So in this system with Microsoft 365 Enterprise, you'll have all the latest modern IT Microsoft 365 can give you. But one thing that isn't being updated is your end user skills. So what we do is we use video micro training. They're 30-second to 3-minute videos on a training path. They're how-to videos. It assumes you're pretty comfortable with computers. We don't need to start from day one. But there's things you don't know what you don't know, and we're going to bring you up to speed really fast. So how can we do that? We're talking YouTube, professionally done YouTube-style videos, 30-second to 3 minutes, and move you along a training path. Then every 3 to 4 videos, it's going to stop, ask you a couple quick quiz questions to make sure you weren't zoning out to allow you to continue to move on. And every video you do, every little quiz you take, you score points. So real quickly, you get a roster showing your team and who's taking the training seriously and who's not doing any of it. But this is how you have everything updated on your infrastructure, and then you start updating your end user skills, and you can drive innovation and efficiency in your company and not just have it be a bunch of words floating out in the air. You would be modernizing your team's abilities in addition to modernizing your IT. In my experience is people don't like change and people don't like learning, but they do like knowing things and they like being good at things. And this is where the CEO comes in. So if you as an organization are making this investment to move into a modern workplace in the Microsoft 365 Enterprise system, you got to have that learning in place, and your company has to know that the CEO is serious about it as well. There could be a different training manager in the company or somebody playing the role of training manager. But what we like to do is have the president or CEO send out an email saying, team, we're making this big investment for the future of the company into a modern workplace, but we need you to learn how to use these tools. Our experience is that people crave knowing how to do these things. Our experience is that people crave knowing how to use these things. And when they see how fun the training is and how quick it is and how quick they can pick things up, it's very exciting when they start sharing ideas with each other at meetings and talking about how to do things quicker and better. Now we get to IT management for cloud services. So sometimes people think that if we move systems to the cloud, there's nothing to manage. Well, the case is Microsoft manages the hardware, patches and updates the software. The rest is up to us. Microsoft does not manage your service configurations, manage your security configurations. They do not monitor and remediate company-specific alerts generated by Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, Skype for Business Online, Intune, Azure Active Directory, Azure Information Protection. You must log in and check and remediate them. Microsoft has 9 different portals that must be logged in and checked at least monthly. So when we are managing a Microsoft 365 Enterprise cloud system, certainly there's the user support that comes in and we take care of those issues. But there also is alerts that are generated, which we have to log into and see. And they always have errors, and they must be reviewed and remediated and cleaned up. 10 years ago, we logged into servers to monitor and manage them. Now we log into much more advanced and sophisticated portals, and you must have a process to go through and check each one of those to look for errors, and there are always some, and to determine what needs to be cleaned up and what can be canceled out. So in Xerillion's Confident Cloud Advantage, it's a process for us. For a Microsoft 365 Enterprise E3 or E5 system, we have a template, a punch list of the things that we go through. And the first pass on that is somebody's just looking for errors. They're not trying to fix anything. Going through each portal, looking for problems, create tickets. Look for problems, create tickets. Those then go into the general ticket queue, and then we start remediating those issues. And they always have things that need to be looked at. And last here is my note to IT admins. You must skill up. Old IT is keeping the lights on IT. Enterprise Cloud IT is much more sophisticated than that, and there's a lot more to know. And it's an exciting time to do it. But you have to give your company the capabilities to allow your users to be able to work from anywhere and allow your company to find the best people around the world so they can support your customers and your clients. And you also need to do it so data is secure and private without people having a lot of friction to be able to get in and do their jobs. And the first place that I would start is getting the MCSA Office 365. That is a great place to start when you're talking about Microsoft Enterprise Cloud Services. So for some of you watching this, you might be wondering, can Xerillion help us with Microsoft 365 Enterprise? You bet. It's the main thing we do in our Microsoft Cloud practice, and we're big fans of it. And we're nearing just about 2,000 users and 25 companies migrated over the last 18 months on Microsoft 365 Enterprise. We can save you time, money, mistakes, security issues, and if you want to extend that further, we can support that on a flat rate basis as well. We're a Microsoft multi-gold Tier 1 cloud solutions provider. We take our Microsoft partnership extremely seriously, and they're a fantastic partner to work with, and we're very deep in that ecosystem. So if you want to schedule an initial call, you can email us at support@xerillion.com, call us 847-995-9800, or go to our website and you can fill out the form, and we'll set up an appointment with you then. So the last few points to leave you with on the Microsoft 365 Enterprise system. Number one, it's a complete enterprise IT solution that happens to be in the cloud. Your on-premises system will never match what Microsoft can do. And Microsoft is adding features to Windows, Office desktop and mobile apps at a furious pace. You will never have hardware to deal with, no software to patch and update, no disaster recovery system to manage, and it is easily scalable with your business. You'll also be able to extend to your team work from home flexibility, which reduces their stress, makes them enjoy their job more, and allows you to hire the best people in the world to support your customers. It's an amazing system, and we've been on it a long time for a while, and it's changed how we do business. I would love to see the same thing for your company. Give me a call, we can talk about it, and we can see if it might be a fit for you. Thanks for watching.